Good morning, students. Today we start with the chapter Should Wizard Hit Mommy? It is written by John Hoyer Updike. He was an American novelist, poet, short story writer, art critic, and literacy critic. He was born on March 18, 1932, and he was died on January 27, 2009. He was awarded by Pulitzer Prize of Fiction, National Book Award for Fiction, Pan Frankular Award for Fiction. He had written that Denver's Massachusetts. He had written many of the books, short stories, and because he likes the children, and that is why he had written so many short stories about the for short stories for the children. This story, the chapter, Should Wizard Hit Mommy? Actually, this is a story. We all know that when we are very small, we all are listening the stories with our parents, with our grandparents. So this story deals with a child views of the world and a difficult moral question she raises during the story session with her father. What happened when we are just telling the story to someone, to the small child? What they are doing again and again, they are asking some questions. Sometimes, and they are just, if they are continuously listening to your stories. So what happened? They know what you are saying to the next. So sometimes what they are doing, they are just saying whatever the story or the in just they will try to be predict the story. So the elder person doesn't like it sometimes. So this is also the story. This is about the story begins with a Jack is telling story from to her his 4 year old daughter, whose name was Joe, to put her sleep on the Saturday evening. All these stories are made up by the Jack only, who is Joe's father. Joe's full name is Jonas, and Johnny, sorry, and she want to listen the stories continuously. His start 2 years ago means Jack started this thing 2 years ago. Every story is a variation of the same tale, and they started with the same imaginary animal, Roger. Its name was Roger. Actually, he was just trying to say the story. Why we are listening the stories? Can you say me? Why the people are saying Panchatantra book is there, Akbar Bilwar stories are there, Guru and his disciples stories are there. So what is the main theme of why they are stories are so popular? Because one story is also one of the medium to educate the moral values, to inculcate the manners or values in the child. So that is why the story is the most important part of Indian culture. Not only the Indian culture, but whole the world. That is the thing. So here the father is just a tradition that continuously he was saying a story on the Saturday, and Joe was also waiting for his father, for her father, that to listen the story. But what the Jack is doing, he is just usually make a creature whose name was Roger. Every time he changed the name of the animal, like sometimes he was just giving the example of fish, sometimes squirrel, sometimes chimpanzee, like that. But every time, and what happened in his stories? There is a person who was there is a owl who was just solving the. So in his story, what happened? The one he would go to the wise owl to solve his problem. The owl would direct him to the wizard who would do magic and solve his problems and demand money in return. Roger would be short of money short of money and would go to the well as directed by the wizard and will get the money from there and would pay uh, him off. He would be happy to solve his problem and would play with his friends happily. His father would return on the train and the family would be have a delicious dinner. That day, where the on this story, what happened in the evening and for the Saturday nap, like today, Jack told his daughter Jo a story. Out of his head, his custom began when she was two or itself nearly 2 years old, and his head felt empty. Each of the new story was slight variation for the basic tale. A small creature, usually named Roger Fish, Roger Squirrel, Roger Chimpanzee, had some problem and went to the wise owl and owl told him go to the wizard and wizard perform a magic spell and solve the problem. Spell means like abracadabra, hush hush hush, like that. So demanding the payment of number of pennies greater than the number that the Roger creature had, but in the same breath directing the animal to place where the extra pennies would be found. Then the other creature and went to the home to his mother and time to hear the train whistle that brought the daddy home from Boston. Every evening and on the Saturday afternoon, Jack was doing this thing, and his story was liked by his daughter, who was just happy that his father came from the train and now he was saying the story to her. Jack described their supper and the story was over. He was just saying about here. This story is just said by the about the Roger skunk.